He was rejected many times by companies. Persistence finally opened the right door. Rejection redirects us to better paths. For Michael Chen, the world felt like a series of locked doors. Each morning began with the same ritual, a fresh cup of coffee, a deep breath, and the daunting task of navigating job portals. His resume was a testament to his dedication, meticulously crafted to highlight a strong academic background in software engineering and a portfolio brimming with innovative personal projects. He had graduated near the top of his class, filled with the optimism that his hard work and the passion for technology would be recognized. Yet, the responses, or lack thereof, told a different story. The inbox, once a symbol of opportunity, had become a source of daily dread. Automated rejection emails arrived with accord, impersonal efficiency. Thank you for your interest, but we have decided to move forward with other candidates. While your qualifications are impressive, the competition was exceptionally strong. Each message was a small, sharp sting, a digital papercut to his confidence. He applied to every tech giant he had ever admired, from the sprawling campuses in Silicon Valley to the innovative hubs in Seattle. He customized each cover letter, spending hours researching company values and aligning his personal mission with theirs. He dreamed of contributing to projects that would shape the future, of sitting in brainstorming sessions with the brightest minds in the industry. But his application seemed to vanish into a digital abyss. He passed initial screenings only to be ghosted after the first interview. He aced technical challenges only to be told he wasn't a cultural fit. The rejections were not just from the big names. Even smaller startups and mid-sized companies turned him away. The feedback was vague and unhelpful, leaving him to wonder what he was doing wrong. Was his portfolio not impressive enough? Was his interview style off-putting? Did he lack a specific skill that everyone else seemed to possess? The self-doubt began to creep in, a persistent whisper that questioned his talent and his choices. His friends, many of whom had landed jobs shortly after graduation, offered well-meaning but hollow advice. Just keep trying. It's a numbers game. Something will come up. He appreciated their support, but their words did little to soothe the growing anxiety. The rejections were not just professional. They felt deeply personal. It felt like the world was telling him he wasn't good enough, that his dream of being a software engineer was just that, a dream. There were days he wanted to give up. He considered abandoning his field entirely, perhaps going back to school for a different degree or settling for a job that had nothing to do with his passion. The constant stream of nomad was eroding his resolve. He watched as his savings dwindled, and the pressure from his family, though unspoken, was palpable. He had always been the one who had a plan, the one who excelled. Now, he felt adrift, his confidence shattered. He would spend hours scrolling through social media, seeing announcements of new jobs and promotions from his peers. Each post felt like a reminder of his own stagnation. The joy he once found in coding began to wane, replaced by a sense of obligation and frustration. His personal projects, once a source of creative release, now sat unfinished on his hard drive, monuments to his fading motivation. The cycle of hope and disappointment was exhausting. He would rally his spirits for an interview, spend days preparing, and feel a spark of optimism, only to be met with another polite but firm rejection. The world he had prepared for so diligently seemed to have no more place for him. He was acquitted for a lot that no more longer existed, but deep within him, a flicker of defiance remained. He remembered the late nights spent debugging code, the sheer joy of seeing a complex program finally run without a single error. He recalled the passion that had led him to this path in the first place, a desire to build, to create, to solve problems. Giving up would mean betraying that younger version of himself, the one who had looked at the world of technology with wide-eyed wonder. So, he made that decision. He would not be defined by the rejections. Instead, he would be defined by his response to them. He started to see the rejection letters not as stop signs, but as data points. He began on a project, a spreadsheet. He meticulously logged every application, every interview stage, and every piece of feedback, no matter how small. He analyzed the patterns. Which types of roles was he being rejected for most often? What technical questions tripped him up? He identified a gap in his knowledge of cloud computing and containerization technologies, areas frequently mentioned in job descriptions for the roles he desired. Instead of wallowing in despair, he channeled his energy into learning. He enrolled in online courses, earned certifications in iOS and Docker, and he built new projects specifically designed to showcase these in-demand skills. He was reforging his key. This shift in mindset was transformative. He was no more longer a passive victim of the job market. He was an active participant in his own development. He started a blog to document his learning journey, sharing his struggles and newfound knowledge with others. To his surprise, it gained traction. Other aspiring developers, facing similar rejections, found solace and inspiration in his posts. He began building a community, a network of peers who supported and motivated one another. This new sense of purpose reignited his passion. He realized that his value was not determined by a company's hiring decision. His worth was in his skills, his perseverance, and his willingness to grow. He started attending local tech meetups, not just to network for a job, but to genuinely connect with people who shared his interests. He presented one of his new projects at a developer conference, his voice shaking at first, but growing stronger as he spoke about the challenges he had overcome. He was no more longer just seeking a door to be opened for him. He was building his own. One afternoon, an email arrived that was different from the rest. It wasn't an automated rejection. It was a message from the CTO of a small but rapidly growing startup called Innovate Forward. The CTO had stumbled upon Michael's blog and was impressed by his detailed posts on container orchestration. He had then looked at Michael's portfolio and was particularly interested in a project that used machine learning to optimize cloud resource allocation, a project born directly from his self-directed study. The email didn't ask for a formal application. It invited him for a conversation. The interview was unlike any he had experienced before. It wasn't a rigid, formal interrogation. It was a dynamic discussion with the engineering team. They talked about his blog, his projects, and his passion for problem solving. They didn't just ask him to solve abstract coding puzzles. They presented him with real-world challenges the company was facing and asked for his ideas. Michael felt a sense of belonging he hadn't felt in any other interview. He was not just a candidate being evaluated. He was a collaborator being engaged. He spoke with confidence and enthusiasm. His knowledge deep and practical, honed by months of relentless self-improvement. 2 days later, he received a call. It was the CTO, offering him a position as a senior software engineer. The role was a perfect match, focusing on the very cloud technologies he had worked so hard to master. The company culture was exactly what he had been looking for: collaborative, innovative, and focused on growth. It was a smaller company than the giants he had once chased, but the opportunity for impact was immense. He would be a key player, not a small cog in a massive machine. As he hung up the phone, a profound sense of clarity washed over him. He looked back at the long list of rejections, the dozens of emails that had once caused him so much pain. He now saw them not as failures, but as signposts. Each no more from a large, impersonal corporation had pushed him away from a path that wasn't right for him. Each rejection had forced him to dig deeper, to learn more, and to build a stronger version of himself. Those companies hadn't seen his potential, and in doing so, they had inadvertently guided him to a place that truly valued him. He was rejected many times by companies. Persistence finally opened the right door. Rejection redirects us to better paths.